It's just a technical glitch, switch when the switch happens. That's all. All right, recording started. Thanks for the information, everyone. Um, in today's session, as you can see in the code lab, make sure your code lab is open, right? If you don't know how to find us or if you missed this link, you can always just open a browser, do a Google search, and search for this title 1 million vector zero loops code lab, and you'll probably get this link. Yeah. So, what we are building in this whole season, we have discussed that we are building enterprise grade applications that have a data layer, because all AI applications these days, they do have a data layer, right? Data, the two of multiple structures, data of different formats, not necessarily relational, some are non-relational, some are document, some are graph, and so on. However, we are dealing with relational data in this whole season, and we are building 100% Postgres compatible ones. So, what exactly did we cover? Which we already discussed also in a few minutes ago. Uh, in the first session we covered a way to quickly set up AlloyDB to build enterprise grade AI application, but we just set up AlloyDB cluster and instance, and then we provided the the name and password and whatever you need for your cluster and instance, and then you triggered the configuration. That's it. That's what we covered in the first lab. In the which is in the same session as the first lab, we did a second lab, which is build your first skeleton application, enterprise grade, which has all the stacks. Not necessarily all, but most of the stacks. It had data, it had a simple front end, it had a database layer, it had a serverless deployment layer where like runtime layer where you deployed the application on cloud, and we got it working end to end. Why? Because this is your template. Now go and build whatever you want. Just make the change in app.py and make sure you're talking to the database, because your data resides in the modern world where AI is the primary focus. You need data, because what is AI? Is artificial intelligence. What is intelligence? Is insights that you can drive with your data. So where is that data? That is the source of your business, right? So data is everywhere. So database is there to stay, because you need to store data somewhere, right? You need storage. Database doesn't mean just don't think of the typical, oh, database is just relational, database is just document. Nothing like the data can be in any form. You can have images, you can have videos. Those are also data. So we have cloud storage for those things. You remember we saw that in the last session. We use cloud storage to store the images of the objects that you want to list and swap, right? Swipe, right? So that's the kind of season that we are having right now, building enterprise grade applications where we are bringing AI to your data. And these are all Postgres first. Why? Because a lot of people working professionals and also learners work easily, know Postgres easily, because they either use the free open source community edition, or they have worked in other relational databases. So PostgreSQL is familiar. It's everywhere, and it's so powerful when it comes to doing ML operations, ML and analytics, even for regression or anything that you used to do in the past. I'm not saying we don't do regression or anything now, but the focus is more around, okay, the models are already there, how to use that to make sense of the data, right? So the focus is more around generative AI. That doesn't mean traditional AI, traditional ML is not in use. It's definitely in use where it's applicable. Recently, we were building an application for a hackathon internally, where I don't know if I can talk about it, but it's just a small hackathon. We were building with devices, and we needed ML because we needed to train the data on the touch and feel of a particular product, right? So, so many different use cases definitely need the traditional ML. So even the word traditional ML is not correct, because ML is still ML. You need it for its for the right use case. However, that's not what we're going to do today. But what I'm trying to say is that's how powerful Postgres is. It's known for its analytical capability and how the database has been traditionally used in all these use cases. However, we are not going to use the traditional Postgres in a self-managed conventional way. We are going to use the cloud version, the Google Cloud version of it, which is Postgres AlloyDB, which is 100% Postgres compatible, and it's even super scaled, super fast, and everything that's multi-level capabilities of the traditional Postgres that you have probably used in the past. So that's the benefit of it. Now, so that is the whole theme of the season, like using the powerful databases and their AI capabilities in building real world applications that you can take it to your business, take it to your learning, take it to your startups, or even take it to your organizations where projects are already running. That's what we are doing so far. In this particular session, what we're going to do is we are going to build a scalable, knowledge base driven search application. instead of managing complex ETL pipelines and with Python scripts and loops to generate vector embeddings. We're just going to use AlloyDB to generate embeddings at scale and perform vector search. Now, we have already discussed what vector search is in the previous session, but that was like we really rushed it because that was a small segment in a bigger application. But here, the main focus itself is vector search. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it before we jump into the hands-on, right? So let's say you are on an e-commerce platform, trying to, let's say I want to shop for this t-shirt. I'm somebody, when I shop, I'm not a big shopper. It's not like I have to, it's not the first thing that I do. I mean, I don't, no, it's okay. I like shopping, but what I mean is I don't go out shopping as a 3 hour or a whole day activity. I'm not that person. For me, it has to be fast. It has to be quick, and it has to be objective, like to the point. And what I need is what I look for, kind of person. So when I'm doing shopping online because I need something, or this t-shirt, or some jacket, or some cardigan for that matter, I know exactly what I'm looking for. Sometimes I can upload an image and search, but does your e-commerce platform today already support it? We don't know. So are you able to describe in the search bar of your e-commerce platform and say, hey, I'm looking for a cardigan that's not cotton, that's not entirely synthetic, but it's somewhere in between, but it feels so soft, but it's black in color. It has some bubble patterns on the side, but it's solid on the front. In the back, it can have some fancy patterns or designs. Let's say you want to search like this. Would you be able to get a response today? I don't know. If applications or businesses have adapted to that, then awesome, kudos. You are exactly chasing. You're not chasing technology, but you're empowered with the technological advancements. You have already leveraged the best and foremost things that technology can offer you today, or AI can offer for you today in the e-commerce industry, right? I'm just taking one industry as an example, but I don't, at least for to my knowledge, I've used multiple platforms, not just for clothes, but for other things also. I have not found so much success in this kind of search, except the applications that we build for demos, right? We are building for demos and we are saying, search for so and so, I'm looking for this, then it'll exactly extract that. So that's the kind of search applications or any kind of business want these days. Um, Users want this. I don't know whether the applications are currently supporting it. Why are they not supporting it? So many reasons, because the data is so overwhelming that it has been rotting, not rotting, but sitting in traditional systems and conventional systems and so many processes traditionally for over several years, that it's difficult to move out of that or quickly introduce something that can vectorize everything. Vectorization is probably easy, but plug out that older ways of doing things and plug this newer contextual search in, which is not easy. Or maybe it's easy, they have not looked at it that way. Maybe the value is not realized yet. There'll be a day when you will just be able to talk like this, like I want to find a dress that goes black on top. It's fine. It just has some frills in the part that right around my tummy, and then right below that it converges in the bottom. I want to be able to describe all of these things and find the appropriate dress. I don't know, and I've across all the apps I'm using, I've not been able to do anything even 30% close to what I'm explaining. By the time I start typing black dress, it'll start already listing all the black color t-shirts or whatever there is. So, which is not I mean, it's okay. I understand the intention behind it, but that's not my intention, right? So anyway, now going from searching for a black top to what I explained, all this decorations and all these nuances of what I want, that's the difference between keyword search or just text search or elastic search and advanced contextual and hybrid search, right? Now, while I'm saying that it has to explain or it has to understand everything that I'm asking for and find the relevant one for me, I also want it to be fast. I also wanted to not bring out a male's attire or an outfit that matches that and show to me, right? So many different conditions I have as a consumer. So how can a database or how can a solution or an app meet all of those things? So you need a solution that's far more advanced, that's far more hybrid, far more faster, and at scale to match this kind of a need. That's exactly what contextual search at a hybrid contextual search with traditional filters, while being faster and while being secure and scalable means. And that's why we're going to use AlloyDB for that. Now, because you're going to use trial credits, I don't know if you'll be experiencing what I'm explaining, all the speed and scale. Speed, yes, but with AI, there is quota limits for Gemini calls from within the scope of database, or the number of Vertex AI calls that you're able to make in one go or in one batch process might be rate limited. However, that's what we're going to discuss in the sessions, sorry, in the steps in the session. If there is a rate limit or error that you're experiencing, we will limit the response by 10 or 15, or limit the embedding generation by a certain number and tweak the query as needed. But let's get scrappy and let's get creative as we are building this. All right, show of thumbs. Got the point. Let's continue. All right, thank you so much for confirming. Let's move on. We already set up the project. We already set up the credits. Now the next step, uh, open your Google Cloud Console. I hope it's already open from the disk from the credit setup and other things that we did before we started discussing the overview. So make sure your Google Cloud Console is open. If not, just type console.cloud.google.com. And as you see the search bar right here, right next to it, you will see a Gemini button. And right next to it, you will see an Activate Cloud Shell button. Go ahead and click that. Oh, I said we'll set up AlloyDB and then discuss, but I took a lot of time discussing, forgot to set up AlloyDB. Anyway, let's do that now. So it'll ask you to authorize, click authorize. All right. That's it. It'll take some time for folks who are doing it for the first time, because Cloud Shell Terminal it assigns a machine and a terminal, with a terminal and an editor. So that to load it, it'll take some time. But I just opened it a few minutes ago. So for me, it was quick. Make sure your project ID is visible in the prompt in the terminal. If it is not, then there is a command that's right above it in the terminal. It says gcloud config set project ID. If the project ID it is showing is not okay for you, or you want to change it just for the sake of it, or it's not showing project ID at all, then you have to write this command: gcloud config set project space your project ID. So how can you get your project ID? Remember, for folks who are already copied the project ID, paste it. Those who did not copy, just click the project picker and take the project ID of the project that you want to work on and make sure you paste it here and then hit enter. That's it. It will set the project. Now, for folks who wanted to make sure your project ID, your older project ID, is linked to the trial billing account, don't worry, don't panic. We're not doing anything that incurs cost yet. So we'll get to that step in a bit. So just do this one. And moving on to the code lab, we want to enable APIs. So for before enabling APIs, there is one more additional step which I want you all to do, because some of the folks faced authentication issues. So let's solve for that as well. If you go to the Cloud Console and the same place where we are, just type gcloud auth login. Just that's it. Gcloud space auth space login and hit enter. I'll just paste this in the chat. Oh, I forgot to turn off the movie. Yeah, I pasted this in the chat, gcloud auth login, and hit enter. Now it will ask you to confirm whether you want to continue authenticating. I'm already authenticated, so I'm not going to continue. But folks who are not authenticated, put that capital Y and then go through the step of authenticating. It will just give you a link to copy your passcode, copy that passcode and paste it back here. It's just a self-explanatory step. Do that process so that the next few steps are not broken. I'll just wait a few seconds here. All right. Now, while we are waiting, go to the code lab and go to step 2, which is before you begin. Go to point number 7, enable the required APIs. All right. So you can either right click on the link, or you can just copy this gcloud services enable command that's right there. Just copy it by using the copy code sample button in that code snippet. Copy that and come back to your terminal. Make sure you're already authenticated and it's prompting with your right project ID, and paste this and hit enter. It will take a few seconds and it'll enable AlloyDB API and the compute cloud resources and service networking and AI platform. The other APIs that we need that are related to the services we'll use in this project today. Yeah, so let's enable APIs. This is the way you tell Google Cloud uh, that in this project you're enabling these APIs, you're going to use them, right? So you're physically turning them on. All right, so this is complete. Show of thumbs how many of you successfully enabled the API. Awesome. Thanks for confirming. Let's go back to the code lab now. There are some troubleshooting steps which are for if at all you encountered any issue in this step, just go through that. I hope this was pretty simple and a lot of you showed the success thumbs up emoji. So I'm moving on to the next step, which is database setup. This is the most important setup because you want to create AlloyDB. Now, folks who created database yesterday, you don't want to create this one again. You want to use it. Please use that. If it is not already uh, what not already used up, like timed out or something, right? Not timed out. What will happen is your credits will all be used up, or your instance will automatically get deleted if the credits are used up. If those things have happened, then you cannot connect to it. Make sure if you want to use it, open AlloyDB by going to Google Cloud Console. In the search bar, type AlloyDB, and you will see AlloyDB in the list of products. Choose AlloyDB for PostgreSQL that you see on the top, and make sure you are able to see the cluster and the instance. Click the instance and open Studio from the left nav menu. Only if you log into the studio successfully, the AlloyDB studio from here successfully, then it means your instance is still running. If you're not able to log in, then it means you have to create this database setup step again right now. All right. Cool. So for everyone who has not done it yesterday or in the past, let's get started. This is the new quick setup step that we've created for this particular season. So we'll continue to use that in this session as well. One click and run. So for folks, like in your case, you probably logged in with your personal Gmail account in your browsers. So you don't have to right click and copy. You can just click this one click run. But some of you folks might be having a device where multiple profiles are logged in. So if you click that button, it might accidentally trigger another profile and open this in a different Gmail account, which is a problem, right? So don't do that. Make sure that's not a problem for you. If that is a problem for you, like in my case, I'm using a Chromebook where it will not just because of because I'm in the corporate device, it will prompt me to open in my corporate account. So when I click this, it will not open in my personal Gmail account, right? So which I'm not doing in this case. I'm showing it to you from my personal Gmail account. That's where I want this to run, right? So what I'll do is I'll right click, copy link address, and then what I'll do is make sure I log in correctly to my personal Gmail account, and then I'll run this. Even then, make sure that it always opens in your right Gmail account. Yeah. For most cases, you will just be able to click this one click and run. Just click that one click and run. It will open in a new tab where you're logged in, right? And it'll open up a dialog like this. Open in Cloud Shell, and it'll have a trust repo checkbox. Don't miss that checkbox. It's mandatory. Check that checkbox and then click confirm. By default, it won't clone the repo unless you check it because it's an automated process, right? So click trust repo, and then what it is doing is it is cloning my quick setup repo in your Cloud Shell terminal, Cloud Shell editor. Basically, your Cloud Shell machine has a limited space available for projects to be created, right? So this project gets created in that particular Cloud Shell machine. If it says space at 90% utilization or it shows space error, make sure you delete your past projects from the last few sessions so that you make room for the new project. Yeah. So now it has already cloned my project into GitHub repo into my Cloud Shell machine, and it has brought the terminal into the project folder where I have this AlloyDB setup code written in. All I have to do now is there is a tutorial that's open on my right hand side pane. So I'm going to click the start button, and there is a shell run command that I see here. Just copy the shrun.sh command, Control C, or whatever your operating system is, your machine device is. Based on that, copy this shrun.sh and click next. That's it. And then it says once the script prints starting server, you can click the link on the from the terminal, and the web app will open where you can set up AlloyDB. Fine. Now close the tutorial. What you have to do right now, the command that you copied, you have to paste here. But before pasting, make sure your active project ID is showing, and the project that is cloned from my GitHub repository, it is also showing. It should show EC AlloyDB setup. If you ran the session, ran this project yesterday or day before yesterday, it will number your folder because already these folders will exist in your terminal. Don't worry about it, but either way, make sure it's inside EC setup folder, project folder. Paste this command that you copied from the tutorial, which is sh run.sh. Hit enter. That's it. Now the shell script is running to trigger my application. And now my web app is running in my local host 127.0.0.1 on port 8080. Click that link. It will open in a new tab the app which I can now use to configure my AlloyDB project. Sorry, AlloyDB cluster and instance. But before that, remember I had said people who want to use your existing projects to link to the trial billing account, this is your place. There are two tabs in this web app, billing setup tab and AlloyDB setup tab. So go to billing setup tab, enter the project ID that you want to link your current billing account to, or the trial billing account into, right? So make sure, remember the project ID that you copied, make sure you enter that project ID. And next one, billing account name, leave it empty. By default, it will pick up an active trial billing account. Yeah. Now click the button that says link to active billing account. Now, I may have deprecated this project. So it says there is no billing account. Don't worry about this because in my case, I've used up all the billing accounts. I'm on a different project, remember? But in your case, you should see green message right here, which says project ID linked to a trial billing account. Show of thumbs, how many of you got the step successfully complete? Okay, thanks for confirming. Cloud billing quota exceeded. Where do you see this error? Please, can you please check where this error is being reported from for Amrita Hasini? Just check where this thing has been reported from. If cloud billing quota exceeded, it's probably because if you have another Gmail account, try from there. I link project, or create a brand new project and link this newly created project trial billing account to that. I don't know whether it's a project limit problem or a billing account limit problem. We'll have to do a trial and error and check it, or just use Gemini to find out, because I'm not going through the entire error message right now. In the interest of time, we have to keep going. Um, yeah. So if you get the error that says you do not have a current active project selected, it means you missed the step which I asked you to do, gcloud auth login. You should have done that. Or you should use the second thing, gcloud set account. Mohit, our leads, can you just guide them through the step where they can do a gcloud config set account? Ajo, Mohit, whoever is there, Anush, please guide them through that. Yeah. Thank you. That's it. So you would have got a message which says successfully linked billing blah 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 to billing account blah blah blah, which should have a trial billing account in its name. That's what you should see here. All right, cool. Now go to the second tab, which is AlloyDB setup. Now let's get started with the AlloyDB setup first, because it will take 15 minutes for the AlloyDB setup to complete. So now remember the cloud project ID that you copied, and some of you may have entered here. The newly created projects who just created your project with only one billing account, don't try to add your project here. No need. Because if you only have one project on one billing account, this step is not needed, right? Now, AlloyDB setup. Move to AlloyDB setup. Second tab. Enter your cloud billing project ID here. In my case, I know what my project ID is. So that I'm using currently. Make sure you write the right project account ID here. Don't put in the project ID, project name. It has to be your project ID. Next is region. Leave it at US Central 1. Cluster name. Number it, because most of you were there in the previous session. So you don't want to create a duplicate cluster. It will say name already exists. So make sure you enter a unique name for it within your project. Don't have to delete the whole thing. Just add a number in the end so that you can uniquely identify it. I have added -S3 so that it knows that it's session 3. Database password, for the sake of remembering, just enter AlloyDB, all small. And then click, you can enter whatever password you want, but you have to remember it. That's why I'm saying let's all have the same password for now. All small, AlloyDB. Now go ahead and click the start deployment button. Once you click that, you will see the deployment running, and you'll see two tabs, logs and summary. Logs will go on. It will show the progress of what's going on behind the scenes. And once the deployment is complete, the summary tab will load your cluster ID, sorry, your cluster name, instance name, your what else do you need? Your VPC name, your IP address, your private IP that you need for your application, and all those details. However, let's just allow the deployment to continue right now. So creating cluster is done. It is now trying to create instance in my case. So let's leave it. In the meantime, show of thumbs, how many of you got to the step successfully? If you get login error, you have to run the command. Read the error message. So Tejas, when you pasted a screenshot, the error message contains the solution in itself. It is clearly saying what to do. Mohit has responded. Please follow that. Okay, behind the scenes, what is happening when this AlloyDB configuration is going on? I'll tell you. Remember how you just click this button? So if you're curious to know what happens in this button click, you can alternatively go to the GitHub repository and explore the code, right? Let's do that. I'm going to copy this link address and I'll open in a new tab. Don't hit enter. Just open the part, just copy the part of the GitHub repo name, right? So this is my GitHub repo, easy AlloyDB setup. I'm going to show it. You don't have to go through it in your system. You can just watch my machine. I'm just going to walk through the code. So you're doing sh right? So what happens when you're running sh? All I'm doing here is I'm echoing everything that you see in the terminal, and then it's calling main.py. That's all. That's the only job of run. Go to main.py. What's happening in main.py? So it's basically checking a few things. Yeah. It is a design that you see, the two tabs, the app that you see that's running in your local host. That's what is designed here. So what happens is behind the scenes, it calls another script, which is called create AlloyDB sh. This is the script that is being called behind the scenes. That's what main.py. Main.py basically is the entire application's functionality. And thanks to one of the Code Vipassana leads, Mohit, who also once this, I don't know if you remembered, I called for Project Pioneers, one of the gamification levels. So Mohit opted in. And once this project was published and this code lab was released for the season, he reached out and he voluntarily built the part that you're seeing here, which is the summary tab. So he's the one who made this change. Earlier, you only had logs. He built the summary tab for it, which is very, very intuitive. So yeah, he was recognized for that as well. So there is another Code Vipassana lead, Kiran, who built the similar project, but with Cloud SQL as a database for Postgres instead of AlloyDB. So two project pioneers we have for this season. But anyway, let's go back to this code. So create alloydb.sh. So the main job of main.py is to create that application, the front end that you see in the local host, and then the functionality that it calls behind the scenes, which is in create alloydb shell script. So let's just quickly look at the create alloydb shell script. This is not part of today's hands-on. This is just while the deployment is going on, I want to show to you how the configuration works, so that if you want to do something like this in your own automation requirements, feel free to do it. So in the create alloydb.sh, what we are doing is we are basically defining the arguments. If you notice, we are hard coding the VPC names so that each time you don't, because it's mostly used, this kind of an automated setup will only be used in a development environment, right? Or maybe staging. When it goes to production, you can automate this and you can use the VPC, but at that point, you can, of course, go back and change the code to a VPC name that's more accepted by your ops teams or whoever authorizes that, right? So we have hard-coded VPC name, subnet name, PSA range name. So as no matter how many projects you create, it will retain the VPC because all your demo projects can run on one VPC, right? Why do you need to create multiple? So that's the goal. We have hard-coded VPC, subnet, and PSA range, and we have done all the steps that you would have to have, that you would have had to explore and learn and have done separately if we did not have this tool, which is set up the project, enable the APIs, which we did anyway. This is just for awareness. I made you do it, but it's all covered as part of the automation. And then setting the VPC, we would have had to do it manually, but here we didn't have to do it manually because the automation takes care of it. The accelerator takes care of it for you. And then you will have to set up the subnet. You will have to set up the private services access. You will have to find the code for creating the cluster. And then this part is the code for creating instance. And finally, once everything is done, it just says deployment is complete. So that's pretty much it. That's what happens behind the scenes when you trigger an AlloyDB configuration from this front end. Still, the instance is not created. So I'm going to wait and shut up for some time. Yeah, it will take some time. Aparna, what do you mean by deployment got stuck? Can you ping? Can you expand your issue? The instance creation. Now we've only crossed 8 minutes. It'll take another 7 minutes easily, or 5 minutes at least. Manjeet, that's not the link, GCP credits link. We shared with you a credits link in this thing. You can use CVS 13 hyphen, whatever you use for the season, hyphen S3. You didn't have to click fetch regions because by default it should have listed a few. Oh, okay, you had network error fetching regions. If it says unexpected token, I'm just wondering if you are. Hold on, let me just see what is happening with my deployment in the first place. Okay, mine is actually complete. Deployment is complete. Instance is ready. And if you click the summary tab, if you can see my screen, you can see my cluster instance and network, VPC, whatever I need for this particular database, right? And for this specific cluster and instance, which I'll delete after this session, if I click reveal private IP and copy, I'm not going to do it in front of the recording right now, but you can just click that and you will see a few things that are mandatory. So click that button. I'm clicking that too, but I've just taken that tab outside the window and click the reveal private IP. And it'll take a second to show getting private IP. And then it is listing my host, port, database name, username, password, which I know, we all know what password we set up. It's AlloyDB, all small. And then it gives my cluster name, instance name, region name, and project ID. So all I've done is I don't have to do anything. Just click the reveal private IP and copy button from the summary tab. By default, it will copy everything you need. And I'm going to paste it aside in some notepad so that I can always come back and refer to it in the application. That's it. So now my AlloyDB setup is complete. Uh, Okay, if you can see my screen right now, um, my AlloyDB setup is all complete. Yeah, so I have my instance and everything ready. I'm not going to scroll down, but it should be. I'll go to logs though. Logs, as you can see right here, it says deployment complete and instance created. Everything is done. So that's pretty much it. I have all the details. Now we'll have to go to the application focus for today's session. But before we go, show of thumbs. How many of you got your instance created? Instance created. Were you able to successfully copy the IP address and all the details, the reveal IP thing? Perfect. Okay. Don't worry about it. If you encounter some error here, like blocker, there are a few things that you probably may have missed. You're not probably in the project where AlloyDB is already, sorry, the run AlloyDB shell script project was cloned. You're probably not within that folder while you're running the run.sh, or you missed some of the steps that we are discussing while we were discussing it. It's highly possible for folks who could not complete up to this point. Try to follow the code lab. The code lab has all these steps. Not a single step is missed in the code lab from what we did today. So don't worry about it at all. It's all there in the code lab. Go back to your code lab and follow those steps if you missed until this point. Yeah. Maybe I'll give it another minute so you can go back and follow. But still, instance creation will take some time. If you're not in the instance creation step already, it is going to take 15 minutes from then. So there's no point of waiting. However, for folks whose instance is still under creation, I'll give you one more minute before we move on to the next big step of the session. For folks who got stuck in one of the previous steps, even in the database setup, not even in, sorry, not even in the application setup, not even in the database configuration step. Don't worry, you can, every single step that we did today is listed in the code lab. You may have missed some nuance in one of the steps. That's probably why you're facing errors. Otherwise, it should not happen. Or maybe your internet is wonky and resulted in your network error and stuff like that. So give it some time and try it from the lab at your own pace when you're not in a meeting, right? So you can always come back to the step. The lab is with you. It's going to take very less time if you follow the code lab step by step, because you already know in this session what you're doing. You won't be lost. Okay, so a minute is up. So now we have completed the database setup step. We have done all that is needed. We have our cluster, we have our instance. If you have any issues, you also have the troubleshooting steps listed here. All right. Make sure you go back and check here, depending on whatever error you have encountered. Read the error message for God's sake, and make sure Gemini app, the gemini.google.com, is open on another tab, so that if you don't understand the error, you can always ask Gemini to explain it for you or guide you in how to solve it. Right? It's very easy these days. And then if you're not able to solve it, you can always come back to Gotchas and troubleshooting and see. I mean, once you understand what Gemini is saying about your error, you can come back and see the list of troubleshooting elements here and see if it matches any of these listed issues, and then you can try and fix it based on the solutions provided here. All right. Moving on to next step, schema provisioning. Why? Because in order for building this application, we need the table. We have only created the database so far. We need the table, we need the data, and then only we can create embeddings, right? So before we go there, we need to access the instance that we've just created and go into the AlloyDB's studio where you can write queries. All right. So how will you go there? Go back to the Google Cloud Console where you had your this thing open. Your Cloud Shell terminal open or whatever open. Just slide this down or open another separate Google Cloud Console. In the same tab, log into the same email account where your Google Cloud is logged in. So do console.cloud.google.com, and once it comes to the Google Cloud Console landing page, in the search bar, type AlloyDB, and in the result you'll see AlloyDB for PostgreSQL. Click that. It'll take a second and land on AlloyDB's AlloyDB's landing page or console. Once you're in AlloyDB's console, as you can see in my screen right now, it will show you all the clusters you have in case you have more than one cluster. So I'm going to go to the cluster that I can use the one that I just created too, right? Let me just go back there. The one that I just created. Don't click the cluster, click the instance. Once you click the instance, it will show all the details, However, slide left and open the navigation menu. You can see AlloyDB Studio right below Overview menu item. So click AlloyDB Studio menu item from the primary cluster listing. Once you click AlloyDB Studio, it will show a dialog asking you to log into your database. So enter your database name, which is Postgres. By default, it will show that. And then enter your password. Make sure built-in database authentication is chosen. Choose user as Postgres. Enter password, AlloyDB all small, unless you change your password. And then click Authenticate. It will take a second. Authentication successful. It has now navigated me inside the Explorer or the AlloyDB Studio. Click Untitled Query tab on the right-hand pane, and you can see the editor where you can write queries. On the left side Explorer pane, you see schema, and you see public tables, 0. We have not created any yet. So make sure you're in this particular console and this particular stage right now. Show of thumbs. How many of you got to this point? Praveen, please follow the lab. You will get here soon. Your instance might be taking time, or you might have encountered an issue. Just follow the lab step by step without distraction. You'll be able to get here. Cool. Thanks for confirming. Go back to the lab. Go to step number 4, schema provisioning. So if you see the graphic right there, it shows what we are covering in this step. We are covering enabling AI extensions. Why? We are going to use vector search and embeddings from Vertex AI's embeddings model. You can use either Gemini embeddings model or the text embedding 005 model. We are going to use the latter, the text embedding 005 model. I think that's what we are going to use. Yeah, I have to see what I've used in this project. So we'll enable in order to do that, just like Postgres, here also you need to enable the extension before using it. Second thing, you have to provision schema and data. I've already established that we have to create a table. You need to insert data, because only then you can convert the data into embeddings, whichever data you want to convert to embeddings, and then you can perform contextual search on it using it. Third one, configure permissions. So you need to give AlloyDB the permission to access Vertex AI, right? So, and also to read and run embeddings and all those things on the data. So you need to configure permissions. So these are the 3 things we are going to do in this particular schema provisioning step. And maybe we'll also insert data, create table and insert data also in the step. So let's see how to do it. We're already in AlloyDB Studio. We have logged in, scroll down, go to enable extensions section. There is a code snippet, SQL snippet there. It says create extension, Google ML integration. This tells AlloyDB that you're going to enable this extension if not already enabled, right? Because AlloyDB, you're going to talk to Vertex AI or ML, Google ML. That's what we are saying here. In the next one, we are saying, hey, AlloyDB database, we are going to now use vector search. So we are enabling these 2 extensions. Copy the snippet, come back to your AlloyDB Studio, paste this in the query editor, click run. Statement executed successfully, extensions are created. Now go back to the lab, scroll down. We have the DDL statement, the data definition language statement for creating a table. Copy that first, create the table statement, and come back to the AlloyDB Studio, paste the statement here, the DDL. What we are building is, we are building a help article. You know, if you're doing troubleshooting or when you're doing customer service or issue resolution for some business or some application, we need articles, help articles to reference, right? So this is that particular use case. Okay, we didn't discuss the use case we'll be building. If you go to overview, it says that what we're going to build is, we'll build a knowledge. Okay, we discussed this at a high level. We will build an application that's a high performance searchable knowledge base. So let's say you're working in a place or there is an application that helps answer queries about technical issues. So we are building a knowledgeable searchable knowledge base application. Show that is some of you have unmuted yourself. Don't do that. Kindly mute, please. Thank you. All right. So go back to step number 4. Let's create this table. So what does this table contain? We have ID of the article, we have title of the article, we have the category of the issue that this article covers, We have product version. What product version is this article covering? Content body, the article's body, and then embedding. Embedding, this is the field that is going to store the numerical representation of your article data, which is the body data. Yeah, run this DDL. Statement executed successfully. The table is created. Now go back to the code lab, step number 2.2 in step number 4, which is generate 50,000 rows of synthetic data. I'll admit, I have to be honest, this is not real data. I have generated synthetic data here, just using this, not even intelligent data. I have just repeated data. Just so because we are here to understand the speed and scale and how you can use embeddings. You can use genuine data if you really want to see if contextuality is matching, but for the sake of this 50,000 rows of the embeddings at scale purpose, I wanted to pump in a lot of data, so I used something random. Yeah, so copy this insert statement from here, come back to the Alloy DB Studio, replace this. Now, this insert statement basically just has a recurring looping logic to, ideally you won't do this, right? Your system, your analytic systems will already have enough information. Here we are doing a demo application, so we are collecting all the information we need in one step. So I've just written just like writing a Python script to create synthetic data, I've written an SQL script to generate synthetic data. That's it. Click run. So now remember the table that we just created. This insert statement will insert records into this table. Perfect. The insert query is complete. Insert statement is complete. Now run a simple select star from help articles table. You will see the number of rows that are there and the data that you've just created in it. See, as you can see right here, the response shows 45,620. You can also do a count to see what is the total count of rows that you have. 50,000 rows. It was just not showing all of those there. There are 50,000 rows. Yeah. If you want to see what data there is, just run this one more time. Limit it. Don't run it fully. Just say limit 500 or limit 5. See, as you can see, the title of the article, category, product version, content body, and embedding column, as you can see, is empty right now. It's blank. We are going to fill it in the next step. Why? This is an analytics application, right? We want to go back and make sure the body is converted into numerical format using the embeddings functionality or feature that we are going to do right now. Enable database flags. In order to do that, we have to tell AlloyDB that we are going to use this and this flag and this feature. So please enable these things for me, right? So for that, what we have to do here is, now the steps are listed right here. We are going to do two things. We are going to see if enable model support flag is on and if enable faster embedding generation flag is on. Typically, without this flag, you can still generate embedding, but not at the scale that we're talking about. So we need to set this flag on. So how do we set it? In the Google Cloud Console, where you have AlloyDB, right now, go back there, right click on all clusters, say open link in new tab. Don't accidentally click here because your AlloyDB Studio page will be gone. So make sure you right click and open a new tab. So now I have my AlloyDB open right here. But before I go there, show of thumbs, how many of you created the table, inserted records? Thanks for confirming. All right, now going back here, make sure you right click and open the clusters in a new tab, right? The all clusters, right click, open link in new tab. So I'm right here in the new tab. All right, scroll down, choose the cluster whose instance you were inside right now, right? Just click on that cluster name right now. It'll open that cluster. Now scroll down. The code lab is very explanatory. The code lab is telling you in the overview page of the cluster, go to instances and then click edit. So I'm right here. I'm scrolling down to find my instance here in the overview page in instance. And I'm going to scroll down to find my instance. There it is. Here is my instance. So I'll click the three dots and I'll say edit. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. There is a drop down here, or new section here that says advanced configuration options. Click that section link, and then in the bottom of that page, you will see flags. Now there is a add a database flag drop down. Click that. It says new database flag and a choose a flag drop down. Click that. Now in the filter, type in what the code lab is asking you to type. Where is the flag name? Yeah, this is the flag name. Enable model support. You can either copy that, it's not copyable, don't hyperlink, don't click that hyperlink accidentally, or you can just type it in. Go here and just say enable model support. See, it's showing here in the list of options. I'm going to select that option and set value as on. If it is off, click the drop down and choose on and say, don't say, yeah, say done. You want to add another flag, right? Click that button again, add a database flag, and this time go to the code lab and see what you want. You want to see enable faster embedding generation flag. Now come back here, click the drop down and type enable faster. Yeah, there it is. I already got it in the list of options. I'll set the value as on and I'll click done and go to the code lab, see if there is anything else. There is none. And now we are ready to click update instance. Click update instance here. It will take a few minutes for updating instance. So let's wait until that is complete. So if you don't know what we did, once again, I'll just show you from the studio page. You see all clusters in the top left corner. Right click on that all clusters button. Select open link in new tab, and it opens the clusters details in the next tab. Scroll down to find your instance. On the overview page, it will land on the overview page by default. If it doesn't land on that page, select overview from the left side or just click clusters, right? Choose the clusters that you want. Oh, sorry, I thought the cluster is already open. Don't worry. Just click clusters and choose the cluster that you're working on, right? Click that cluster and then go ahead and scroll down and find your instance. It says instances in your cluster. You have only one instance because we only created with one instance, right? Now go there, click the three dots against your instance name and click the edit button. It's disabled for me because update is already going on in the moment at the moment. But if it's enabled for you, go ahead and click that. Once you click that, it will show a list of options. In the bottom of the page, the edit page, you will see advanced configurations section. Click that section, click that advanced configuration link, and then you will see one option which says add a new database flag. Click that and start typing the names of the two flags that we need to add. First type in enable underscore model underscore support. That's it. It will show the one. Make sure the flag is set to on and say done. Add another flag by clicking the button again and look for enable faster embedding, enable underscore faster underscore embedding underscore generation. It will drop down that option, select that and make sure the flag is set to on and save, and then finally click update instance option. Sorry, button. That's it. The updating instance should be done by now because mine is complete. I'll just say dismiss. So my instance is now updated. Now I'll close this extra tab that I opened. I'll go back to the AlloyDB editor, the AlloyDB Studio tab. This is where we were. This is where we were before. So I'm back into the AlloyDB Studio tab. Now I go back to the code lab. Show of thumbs. How many of you were able to successfully add flags? Perfect. Thank you. Go back to the code lab now. We are still in schema provisioning step. So now that you've added the flag, scroll down, grant permission. We need to do this step. So we are granting insert, update, and delete permission for embedding generation on embedding generation progress feature table to Postgres. Why? Because this will be used in the process behind the scenes. You don't have to really worry about when or how it's used. Just grant it, because in order for you to utilize it, you need to give this permission, because we want auto generation, because we are going to do bulk embedding generation, right? So go ahead and copy this grant. Go to your AlloyDB Studio, open a new tab probably, paste this command, and grant the permission. All right, this is done. Statement successful. Now I'll go back to the code lab. I'll copy the second permission statement, which is granting execute on embedding to Postgres. This allows your user, Postgres, to be able to execute the embedding functionality. So an embedding function. So copy this code, the statement, come back to your AlloyDB Studio, replace it or paste it, and just run just this specific statement. It's successfully completed or executed. That's it. So the permission steps are all complete. One last permission is left. It's rather not through SQL statement, it's rather through a Cloud Shell command. So what are we doing there? We are telling the AlloyDB service account that it needs permission to use Vertex AI. Why are we using Vertex AI? Because inherently, if you want AlloyDB data to be able to call the embeddings function and do all those things, embeddings model exists in Vertex AI, right? So AlloyDB needs to talk to that provider of that particular model, which is Vertex AI. So that's why we are granting the permission. We are granting Vertex AI user role for AlloyDB service account through these two commands. We are getting the project ID through a command, and then this project ID is then used in fetching the service account of your AlloyDB instance, and we are assigning it the Vertex AI user role. So go ahead, copy the set of commands, and go to your, this time not to AlloyDB. Where are you going? You're going to the tab where you have the Cloud Shell terminal still open, if it is open. Yeah, it is probably still running your web application that you used to create that AlloyDB cluster and instance. You can do Control C and come out of it. You don't need it anymore. You've already created the cluster creation. You completed the cluster creation, right? So come back. Now make sure you're still logged in and you're still authenticated and you're still configured to your current active project in your terminal. So how will you ensure that? See there in my screen, as you can see in the terminal, you can see the active project showing, but it shows me inside another project. So I have to come out of it and go to the root directory, or it's not needed, but let's just do it anyway. Do a cd slash. It will, oh, cd slash, or yeah, that's it, cd slash, or just cd. It should bring you, and hit enter. It should bring you to the root directory without any project. Now paste what you copied from the code lab and hit enter. If you're not authenticated or if your project ID is not showing, this won't work. This step won't work. You have to make sure you have to go back and run that gcloud config set project ID. And you have to, or if you're not even authenticated, you have to run the gcloud auth login commands. Leaves, if you can help with those two commands in the chat, please do. Not everyone needs to use it. Only folks for whom the project ID is not showing need to use it. Or if it says that you're not no longer authenticated, you need to use it. Not everyone, but make sure you're authenticated. Yeah. Now that the authentication or the permission generation is complete, I go back to the code lab to see what is next. We are done with this. The remaining part is just troubleshooting steps. Use it when you're doing it on your own pace later. Not needed right now because we have successfully completed this step, and moving on to the next one, which is the essence of this session, which is one-shot vector generation for the bulk data that we have. If it allows in your trial scenario, let's find out. We'll find out together. But before we move on there, show of thumbs how many of you successfully completed where we are so far. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for confirming. Perfect. Thanks. Now let's go to step 5, the one-shot vector generation. We will use the function AI initialize embeddings. If you remember, we didn't use it yesterday. No, we just used a single transactional way. But what we are going to do with this command is the single statement backfills all the existing rows with embeddings, and it creates a trigger to auto embed future rows by choosing this option, right? incremental refresh mode transaction. So every time new set of records come in, it automatically auto embeds anything that happens in the future. That's why we are initializing it. So copy this SQL statement, go back to your SQL query editor, replace this or paste this, just run this particular one. Remember, I said we are using the embeddings API, text embedding 005. This is where we are representing it. It is ideally present in Vertex AI, but we have made AlloyDB talk to Vertex AI. That's why we did all that permission setting, role setting, and all that. Yeah. So the table name is a table that we just created. The column name that needs to be embedded or converted into embedding is content body, which I explained in the beginning. The embedding column, the column that we use to store the embeddings is called embedding, which we created. I showed it to you at the time of creating the table. Refresh mode is transactional. So let's wait until this is complete. This will take some time because it's going through all the records. Now, if for any reason you are encountering an issue and you're not able to, because of trial credits, it's possible. In my case, it's successfully complete because uh, I mean, I'm doing it from a different profile so that I am able to showcase the capability, right? But in your case, if you're not able to do 50,000, there is a hack. I'll tell you, we can limit the number of rows. It's not an AlloyDB problem, it's a quota limit problem. That's what you're seeing. Not for AlloyDB, but for using AI from AlloyDB with trial credits. That's why you're seeing this. But before that, show of thumbs, how many of you were able to successfully create it without receiving any error? Okay. See, if your error is related to quota, then what I say applies. If your error is not related to quota, but it's related to some other step that may have skipped in giving permission, then this explanation of mine is not going to help you. Yeah. Perfect. Let's go back to the steps right now. So we have initialized. So what is the hack for folks who encountered the quota limit error? I'll tell you. Go back to the schema provisioning step, create a new table instead of the help article. Just say help underscore articles one, right? And in the insert script, instead of, or you can just drop or delete some rows, but instead of that, in the insert, create a new table and copy the insert script, change the name of the help part in table from help articles to help articles one, and run the create table and insert table. And in the insert script, just scroll down and reduce the upper limit from 50,000 to just 50 for testing purposes. Not everyone needs to do it. If you are able to generate embeddings, great. If you are not able to generate embeddings because of quota error, then remove the 3 zeros from the end and run the insert script in a new table. And the only change that you need to do is in the call initialize embeddings, your table name will be help underscore articles one or whatever new table name you're creating for this table. Apart from that, there is no change. The same thing will work. All right. Next step. Now, how do we check the embeddings are generated? How do we check? Let's go and run a select statement. Copy this, verify the embeddings code snippet, select statement snippet. Go back to your Cloud Shell, sorry, go back to your AlloyDB Studio and paste this and run, select this and run selected query. As you can see, this is just selecting the first 30 characters of your content body and the first 30 characters of your embedding. If you want to see the whole embedding, just remove the substring from there so that you can see the whole embedding. It's pretty long in content. So that's why I've shortened this so you can see what embeddings start to look like. Yeah. And then that's it. That's so we are sure that our embeddings generation is complete. You see how fast it was? Those who were able to generate the 50,000 records successfully, the embeddings for 50,000 records successfully, you see how instantaneous this process was. So that's exactly the power, the scale, and the speed that I'm talking about with AlloyDB. Yeah. Next step. Now we saw the result. What just happened? We saw backfill happened. And we have set incremental refresh mode as transactional. So automatically it sets up the internal triggers, which means any new row added, you can try it out. Just try out the insert command, the real-time trigger test in the bottom. Just copy that insert statement, not command, it's a statement, it's an SQL statement. Copy this insert statement, go back to your AlloyDB Studio and paste the statement, right? Title, blah, 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 whatnot. Run this. It has generated this. So how do we test it? Go back to the code lab. See, the new scaling guide is a title I have inserted. Sorry, new scaling guide, not the new scaling guide. New scaling guide is a title I've inserted. So let's check immediately. Copy this snippet, this SQL statement, come back to AlloyDB Studio, run the statement, select statement. Now I'm only fetching the embedding row. See, embedding is already generated. The full embedding is generated for this but newly added row. I didn't run the embedding query again or the embedding statement again. What worked here is this call is scheduled or is designed or initialized to incrementally generate embeddings for any newly added row transactionally. So that's what we are doing here, embeddings at scale and embeddings incremental. All right, so our test is complete. You saw the result. Now, how will you do this at scale, but you still want to control the batch size, right? For this, what you need to do is you can set optionally a batch size of 20. So it will do 20 at a time. Because for folks who okay, this is another hack. Instead of not hack, this is the right way to do. Instead of inserting or rate limiting your table or rows limiting your table, you can just include a batch size and say 20. So at least for 20 rows, you will see um, embeddings generated for quota error scenarios. But even otherwise, using a batch size is always helpful so that all your data updates are run in batch and not all at once. So it's always a good practice to use that. All right, so there are some troubleshooting steps here. In case you're doing this later, use these steps to help you make progress. All right, moving on to the next step, which is the main part, which is contextual search. This is what I started with. The main part is, of course, embeddings at scale, which we already experienced. Now, okay, embeddings are generated. So what am I going to do with these embeddings? That's exactly what we are looking at here, flexing the context search feature. So we want to perform a hybrid search, which is a combination of semantic understanding, which is the vector-based understanding or matching, along with some business logic filters. So for example, like I said, right, I want female category clothes, but I want clothes that, start to look like a black cotton top in the top part of the dress, and then the bottom it goes whatever description I want, right? So that kind of statement, along with some SQL filters like category equal to female or gender equal, whatever it is, the traditional filters, business logic filters you want to add, you can add. In this case, since we are using a knowledge base application, my where conditions are category equal to billing. So billing related issues are I'm looking for articles that solve the problem that I've mentioned right here in my statement, in my context. And on top of that, I want you to apply where clause filters that are billing that are of specific category and of specific product version. So that's what the select query does. So how do you know vector search is happening? I'll tell you. Just copy the select query, come back to AlloyDB Studio, open a new tab or use an existing tab, just paste this query. As you can see right here, this part which shows 1 minus the embeddings value, this is actually the distance. The relevance is actually the percentage or the distance of the result text from the user's context that I'm searching for. Issue invoice did not go through. This is the user issue. So give me matching articles that satisfy this issue or that resolve this issue. That's my question. However, I want to see how relevant the article that this application is returning to the user question, right? So I have printed this distance from the user question also as one of the fields responses. From help articles, that's our table where I want to just include a category so that it limits the search criteria so that your search is faster. Now, since we have 50,000 rows, we can still do indexing, but I didn't want to add more steps to this lab, so I did not include indexing. But if you go to season 11 of Code Vipassana, we have done a lot of AlloyDB applications, not only AlloyDB, just generally any database application where we used database indexes and we performed this kind of contextual search so that the search is faster. But we did not, what is new here? This feature that you're learning, that you're building right now, the embeddings at scale, which you just looked at in the previous step, is brand new. It just got released in probably like 4 weeks ago or something like that. So you're getting access to some of the very early cutting edge features that are out there, right? So yeah, so that's what we're doing here. We have not included any index, but indexing will even further expedite your search results. However, let's just get to the point here. There are some filters here, business use case filters, where I'm searching for billing category articles. I'm searching for product versions 2.0, and order by relevance. I want to see the closest ones first, right? So descending order, and limit 5. I just want to see 5 close matches to the search. So let's run this. So I'm running this. So I've gotten 5 articles in return. And as you can see right here, all these are very much related to the payment issues. That's it. That's what we are going through. And I have truncated the text to 100 characters. So that's why you're seeing a truncated text. If you want to see the whole text, just print the whole body, content body field. Show of thumbs, how many of you successfully completed this and got the result? Perfect. Now, going back to the code lab, we successfully completed this. This screenshot right here, you're seeing the query along with the query result, or even the your own screenshot that you see right here, is what you need to submit for today's lab result. This is what this screenshot that you see right now, selected here in my screen. This is what you need to submit for today's result. All right. So why this is a great win? Because you didn't spin up a separate vector database. You didn't write a separate ETL code, or embeddings code, any application code that's outside. It's all done. No ETL process to do extra analytics of not analytics, but extra analytics preparatory step where you prepare your data for embeddings and other things. We didn't. Where you prepare your data to generate embeddings and all that. We didn't do any of those things. We just directly generated data on the text. Although we know that the data is pretty clean because we generated the data. However, in a real world application, you probably will go through some data quality checks. But that's different. We can also tackle that within the scope of your database, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Now, real-time updates, by setting the transactional mode, you saw how real-time it was. The moment the data comes in, it automatically just smooth. It just slides in along with this embedding. So any real-time search that's happening alongside will have this data up and running in real time for your consumer. And scale, you saw how bulk generation happened in just a few seconds, or even milliseconds for some, for that matter. So it's a the 50,000 records that we use today is just a representation of what all is possible with Alloy DB, right? Again, we are at the end of this particular session. For any further troubleshooting or anything that you're stuck with, please refer to the troubleshooting steps. The best way to do is to just learn to use Gemini alongside and just ask questions directly or within the scope. Like if you're writing an application, a front-end application or a full-fledged full-stack application, you have Gemini CLI or Code Assist for that matter within the IDE itself, integrated as part of your IDE, or use some IDE that allows you to integrate Gemini in it, so you can instantly get answers like this, whatever you want, like whatever issues you're facing immediately without having to spend so much time troubleshooting. It's very easy to get into the habit of vibe coding or issue resolving by using AI. Use AI to your advantage, to your leverage, right? So that's pretty much it. Show of thumbs, how many of you successfully completed the context search result, successfully understood the whole initiative that we did. If you feel like we didn't build an application front end today because we just did that yesterday, just imagine this as a branch out, is just a backend part, like an analytics part for the application that we built yesterday, but for a different use case. So feel free to go ahead and do whatever we did yesterday or the day before that for plugging in an application as a face to what you built today, right? That'll be really exciting. However, that's not an assignment I'm giving to you today because we have done a lot. This is a long weekend, but don't forget to come back for Monday's session. We have another thrilling session for Monday. We saw speed, we saw scale, we saw how easy it is to configure and all that. Now there's one part which we'll see, which is security. That's on Monday. So come back for Monday, same time. I know it's a holiday, but we'll try and complete it same time. So we'll try and complete it even within an hour, right? So it's not going to take so much time. It's going to be a really interesting, similar application as well. So one more thing, clean up the cluster and instance if you're fully done. Don't forget to take a screenshot of your query and the results, because you need to submit that in your result submission if you're interested. Clean up after that. so that your trial credits are all not used up, right? So we can set this up. We can spin up a new cluster instance on Monday. So go ahead. So how do you clean up? So there is a hyperlink. Go to step seven of the code lab. You see the hyperlink that takes you to the clusters. Or if you have your AlloyDB open, just right click on the clusters hyperlink. It will open in a new tab. So there, go ahead and identify the cluster that you want to delete. So I want to delete the one that I just created, right? So I'm going to choose that particular cluster and then I'll say delete. That's it. What did I delete? Yeah, I want to delete this particular cluster, which I just created. It is asking me to enter the cluster name so that I'm absolutely conscious when I'm making this decision. That's it. Your instance is deleted and your cleanup is done. It'll take some time again. Let it take its time and delete it. Congratulations. You've successfully completed 4 labs in season 13. We have one coming up on Monday. Let's successfully finish it. And after that, we have a couple of labs then and there. We'll just keep poking you with all the upcoming sessions. We have those 2 labs are built by our leads. So we'll have our leads talk to you. You can also come up and build some of the features of your own interest and let the leads know. You can get all of our contacts from codevipassana.dev. If you go to the contact us section, you can find all the menus on top. Yeah. So please do submit it, do reach out and do join the rest of the sessions as well. You'll get a lot of learning. And especially the things that you're learning are all latest, probably released a few weeks or a few days even, right? Yeah. All the leads LinkedIn links are available in codevipassana.dev landing page. I'll show it to you. There we go. So this is the sessions page. You all know this. Past seasons, if you want to refer some what happened through the years of Code Vipassana, submit lab results. This is the app where you have to submit your lab results. You would have received your username and password multiple times in email. So please go back and check your email from RSVP. If you haven't received it because you just registered right before this session, you will get it when you get the recording. This session's recording will be sent to you. So along with that, you will get your username and password as well if you have not received already. Otherwise, also you'll receive it. Troubleshooter level challenge later if you want to try out things on your own. Uh, just go out and fill up. Check out this form. This actually has a lot of insight that you can, if you want to level up. So if you complete all the 5 labs in the season, you will become a lab champion naturally. Once you complete lab champion, or even if you want to try out the troubleshooting method, you can go and look at it after you become lab champion, after the season is over. And then once you become a troubleshooter, you also have the eligibility to become a troubleshooter by going through this form. What you need to do for that, all the details are mentioned there. Take a look. Currently, we have 2 project pioneers. We have Kiran and Mohit, who are the current season's project pioneers. And meet the leads. So if you click more and go to meet the leads, expand the section, you will see all our leads LinkedIn. You see Mohit, you see Ajo, you see the ones in the call. I saw Anush. A lot of folks are there in the call. Please go through and you can definitely connect with them. I saw Harshal as well. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for joining us. This is a very simple lab. So it looks simple, but it took a lot of understanding and a lot of things for this to happen, like setting up the configuration, setting up and configuring a LoyDB so quickly, setting all these things up and putting together the massive data that you use to, not very massive, but at least for a demo application, 50,000 is still massive, right? And then to come up with embeddings at scale and all the new features that you can try out was really intuitive and very, very engaging. And it was fun building this. So I hope you're able to follow the code lab step by step and be able to do on your own. Mohit is not making videos anymore because Mohit is super busy traveling. He goes to US once in 2 months. He's the busiest person that I know, who is still in college, by the way, and working. So, but yeah, it's a great deal. All our Leads are amazing. They are very empathetic. They'll connect with you. Please feel free to reach out to them and talk to them about the opportunity. Some of them are also on what is that the thing that app which allows you to connect with them, asking questions, setting up some time, doing one-on-ones, Talkmate or something. Some of them are there. So please reach out and find out more. Set up time with them and talk to them because they have also gone through the journey that you are going through right now, right? They have been with us for several seasons, and they went through an interview process to become leads. Even though it's a community activity, the interview process is pretty chill, but still, it takes a lot of commitment to be there, right? And to do that continuously for years. So thank you, leads. Thank you for being with us throughout and also supporting through the chat in this session. I'm going to stop the recording right now and I'll share it with you all once it process or first thing tomorrow. Please watch out your emails. If it